An overview of refereed or peer-reviewed journals. Cannon Memorial Library, St. Leo University. There are two types of periodicals. A magazine, which is a type of periodical in which the articles are not usually intended for an academic audience. The articles generally focus on news or topics of popular interest rather than research. You usually won't use this too much unless you're doing a current event or a literature review of topics in which your professor has asked you to find something in the current magazines or news resources. A scholarly journal is a type of periodical that contains articles written by professionals in any area of academic study: business, education, psychology, chemistry, history, and more. Those articles often report original research or the results of experiments, which makes them scholarly or academic in nature, and they are usually peer-reviewed. What's the difference between an edited magazine versus a peer-reviewed journal? Magazines have editors. Scholarly journals don't. Scholarly journals have a narrow focus and usually a peer-reviewed process. Magazines want articles that help sell the magazine and draw more advertising revenue. Scholarly journals want articles that create interest in the reader to learn more or to do research themselves. The images at the right are a sampling of both peer-reviewed journals and popular magazines. Another difference that you will probably notice is that magazines have lots of ads. For example, Scientific American is a consumer magazine, and it is not a peer-reviewed journal, although some people may look at it and go, well, that looks peer-reviewed. But if you look carefully at the contents, you will see that it is edited and it has lots and lots of ads. Whereas peer-reviewed journals have limited advertising, and it's usually focused on something to do with academic nature or scientific nature. So what is a peer-reviewed journal, and what sets it apart? Most scholarly journals are refereed or peer-reviewed. The articles in these types of journals usually have completed a review process before they are published, whereas in magazines, they've usually been edited by one or more people for grammar, spelling, content, but not necessarily for whether or not the information is accurate, nor has it been reviewed for whether or not the information adds to the body of knowledge. So when someone is looking at a peer-reviewed journal, the reviewers usually determine whether or not the author is properly credentialed in the area in which they are writing, and whether or not there is any possible conflict of interest once the research is sponsored by a commercial entity. Also, does the information contained in the article add to the body of knowledge? Is it accurate? Is the research methodology used valid and current for that field? And are there any major flaws in the research or the argument used by the authors? There are two types of peer-reviewed or scholarly articles. The basic article is usually more theoretical in nature. It may attempt to create new knowledge, and it seeks to open a dialogue or spark interest in others in doing applied research. And then there are scholarly peer-reviewed articles that are applied in nature. They're solution-oriented, the research can usually be replicated, and the results and recommendations can be applied by others in the field. Just remember to keep in mind that you need to proceed with caution in some cases. There are some journals that are scholarly, but they are not peer-reviewed. Some prime examples that come to mind are the Harvard Business Review and The Economist. The Harvard Business Review has had a proud tradition as the world's preeminent management magazine. Notice that it does not say anything about research or theory. It's all about some issues. They are publishing cutting-edge authoritative thinking on key issues facing executives. So this is more of an advice magazine. Even though it's geared towards educated people, it is not peer-reviewed. It has a board of editors that are very good, but they are just that, editors. And The Economist is the same way. It provides the people who want to read it with authoritative insight and opinion on international news, politics, business, finance, science, technology, and the connections between them. Nothing noted about theory or research. It's all about insight. So you do have to make sure that you read things carefully and understand that when you click on scholarly/peer-reviewed journals, it will return some articles and some journals that are not necessarily considered peer-reviewed. When in doubt, ask your professor. Some clues to use when you're looking at peer-reviewed journals is the table of contents, because not every article in every scholarly journal is going to be peer-reviewed, or even a research article. Peer-reviewed journals also carry other items, such as book reviews, literature reviews, essays, and critiques of other people's work. A second clue to use is whether or not the article reports on any research. Are the authors associated with an academic or government or research organization? Is there an abstract that summarizes the article and indicates that the article's purpose is to discuss some research or theoretical framework? A third thing to use is whether or not, based on the contents of the article, you can determine whether or not it is a scholarly or research article. Does the article contain a hypothesis, a goal of the research, or a research question? Is there a literature review or background given as to why this information might be important? Does the author or authors cite within the article other people's work? Notice as you look at this article sample, it's just a piece of an article, that the title asserts a single main relationship, suggests a shorter, straightforward introduction. The topic is introduced and is clearly related to the title. The author discusses the significance of their research, and they give a very short background that's focused on that research, and then discusses why this research that they want to do or have done is important. Where is the gap? And then they state what the research question is. It may not be stated as a question, but it is there. It may be stated as a goal or a hypothesis. You can also use the contents of the article to determine what the methodology is, whether or not there are results included in the discussion, usually with statistics and tables or charts, what the conclusion recommends, and whether or not the authors have a works cited or references list. All of these indicate that this is a peer-reviewed or scholarly journal, and not merely a book review or discussion of someone else's work. A fourth thing to use when the article is peer-reviewed and is scholarly, but is not doing research itself, is to look to see whether or not the article is promoting a theory or a framework for a theory. Because some articles will be theoretical in nature or will propose a new framework within a field. For these types of articles, there may not be any research listed. Instead, the authors are attempting to encourage other researchers to investigate whether their theory holds up under scrutiny. You can locate peer-reviewed articles in the library's databases. You can search the Canon Memorial Library databases and limit your search to peer-reviewed articles when possible. Not every single database has this ability, but most do. Some databases, like LexisNexis and Standard & Poor's Net Advantage, are focused more on primary resources, such as case law and quarterly reports. And then there are databases that are mixed, like Westlaw. Westlaw will have journals in it, and you can search just those journals. But it also has case law. And so you have to make sure you select the right areas to search inside of Westlaw to get peer-reviewed articles. We hope this explanation has been helpful in determining what is a peer-reviewed article and what is not.